Stand in the door. I ain't gonna run away from you no more. The way you look, you got me hypnotized. You got me rock and rolling deep inside. Under your spell, and you know it's true. I do anything that you want me to. Yeah, you know it ain't gonna be all good, so treat me like a bad girl should.
This is a 58 Apache that you did for one of your clients?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit, where did you find the project?
Well, Tim actually, the owner of the truck, Tim Eastwood, had given the project to another company, I won't mention their name, to get going. They saw the project, they thought it was a little bit much for them to handle, and so they told Tim, well, they'd like to rather stand back. Tim was then stuck with the truck in like a sort of unassembled situation, and he needed someone to build it. Came past our shop, saw what we were doing, and asked if we'd go ahead with the project. People had started taking it apart. It was a complete rolling vehicle. Motor was running-ish. Suspension was seized solid in front, the suspension that was on there. And that's when the story actually starts getting interesting. So when we collected the truck, we had a good look at it. From the outset, we thought, well, it's a 58 on a 58 chassis. But when we had a closer look, it's actually a 58 that was on a Studebaker Daytona car chassis.
Wow.
Okay. Hence the issues with the previous builders. They couldn't get their head around what they could do to get the look he was trying to find. When we got the truck, it was a burgundy color. The bed was in completely the wrong position. It was standing probably about a foot higher than it is now, which throws the proportions of this truck out completely. Yeah, and the reason for that is because of the kick on the chassis of the Studebaker Daytona. Yeah. They needed to get the bed at a level that would clear the chassis.
Yeah.
And they didn't take into account that the cab would be sitting in a different place.
Yeah, of course.
The existing Studebaker parts were pretty archaic, as well as in a bad condition. So you'd either have to restore what you had or start from scratch, and we decided to start from scratch, go the hot rod route, and make the car a real driver, a real performance car.
And this is where the conversation started, whether front suspension, whether you're are going like the traditional Jag, the South African way, or looking at something different.
Yeah, initially it was the norm, an independent front suspension in the front, and we had done a couple of cars before with struts front ends, BMW-based strut front ends. And I thought, well, this is the perfect opportunity to put that strut design into something different, and therefore create something completely different that the country hasn't seen before. And geez, I actually don't know where else. I haven't seen a truck with struts running anywhere.
And what BM is this, the front suspension from?
It's a BMW 540, known as the E39 usually. It's a performance-orientated saloon car. Obviously much heavier than what the truck is. So straight away, the brakes that the BMW had are that much better with this weight behind it.
Of course.
The lighter vehicle makes your suspension handle better. The struts from the BMW were actually state of the art for the time. They are phenomenal. They've got like an anti-top out spring inside them. Really advanced kind of front suspension.
Okay.
It's got dual A-arm lower suspension. It uses the power steering box from the BMW 540. In fact, all the front underpinnings.
So once you define the front suspension that you want to be, you start looking back and see what else you can replace in the truck at the same time.
Well, the front suspension, we actually had to build a custom subframe. So from half the truck forward on the chassis, is a completely custom subframe to accommodate the 540.
And the front suspension, if you look at the engine bay, you guys basically left everything nice and open and bare. Was that to show off what you guys were doing?
Let's go have a look.
Let's have a look.
I'll show you. I thought, with all the engineering that we did, it would be a shame to cover it up, and we did. We discussed it with the owner, which route he would want to go, and we discussed covering it up, but there's so much nice stuff to see underneath here, we thought, let the public see it. I mean, the BMW's got aluminium struts, it's got aluminium lower control arms. It's all stuff worth seeing. We've got a nice big strut brace in here, custom strut brace.
So basically from the firewall up front, all the way forward.
Just behind the firewall is a completely custom subframe.
Custom subframe to house.
All box sectioned and
it looks like
stiff as hell.
Did you move the motor back?
Well, yes.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, it certainly helps with the road holding.
Yeah.
Definitely makes the car feel better balanced, lowers the center of gravity, turns in better.
A lot of things that people don't actually think about when it comes to holding a car.
Yeah.
Right?
The further you hang the motor over the front, the worse things become.
The worst things become.
So we got it as far back. I mean, from a service point of view and from an installation point of view, it's not the ideal.
Yeah.
It makes it more difficult to get to everything, but we're not about that. We're about building a car that drives well. So putting the motor as low and as far back as possible is the answer in my book anyway. And the proof is in driving the truck, which we'll see later.
What size motor are you guys actually running here at the moment?
It's a 350 Chevy, originally a TBI motor that we got from Rocket 88.
Okay.
It's a mild street cam in it, with a performer intake, with the Holly carburetor, the usual thing. We didn't want to get too wild. It must be a drivable. He wants to drive it every day and enjoy it. Yeah. So we put a very streetable motor together. In saying that, it is more than what I'm usually experienced with this build. It feels like the 300 to 400 horsepower range.
Wow.
Which is really cool in the weight of the truck. You'll see we've got some incredible branches that have been fabbed there.
That's some serious plumbing they've got going there.
Yeah, very custom.
Was that just
very
to try
awesome.
and get it through to fit it into the spaces, or?
It's to try and get it in,
Yeah.
as well as not compromise the performance of the exhaust. So there are tuned length headers.
Oh wow.
Running into a 3-inch collector and then 3-inch all the way to the back.
Just to explain, tune length is basically where each pipe is exactly the
Is
same
the correct length for the port.
for the port
Yeah.
as they go through.
Yeah.
All right.
So-
And then gearbox, what are you running on here?
Oh, that's the deal clincher. It's a 4L60E from a Lumina, as we know it, the Lumina SS.
Lumina SS.
It's electronic 4-speed gearbox.
Yeah.
So it has the amazing overdrive ratio. We actually put it together with a turbo 350 with a shift kit, which was insane,
Yeah.
until you got to the freeway.
Yeah.
And then your driving RPM was just way too high.
And
With
so
the diff
basically
ratio,
the legs
so-
are get too short on it.
Yeah, so we didn't want to lose the excitement.
Yeah.
So we put this box in, mocked it up, got everything in place. I'd originally learned that they'd done it in the States, but
Yeah.
thought that people had done it here already, but turns out I think I'm the first one to do it.
Wow.
We used an aftermarket wiring harness, and we spent a bit of time setting the box up, being electronic, just to get it to shift in the right places, kick down in the right places.
And it's full settings, I mean adjustable, you can actually adjust it.
No, you can put a laptop on it and adjust the way the box shifts, the line pressures and everything. It's
right.
quite phenomenal. Driving it on the freeway has just changed the whole truck. So you've got everything the Turbo 350 gave you, but
Plus-
an overdrive for freeway cruising. So you can sit now at 120 at a reasonable cruising speed of about
And it doesn't
2,300
sound like the
RPM.
motor's trying
Yeah.
to climb out the bonnet.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Karl, I mean, as the builders, you guys always have those little tweaks that you guys have done to the car. Anything specific still on this one?
Yeah, my favorite little tweak is actually repositioning the front bumper. Usually on the 58s, the bumper sits quite high, and we've just dropped it flush almost with the valance. So it gives the car a lower kind of feel when you see it approaching, lower than what it really is. So yeah,
Gives it a much
overall
more aggressive look
kind of
as well,
stance.
yeah. Did you guys have to import a lot of groceries for this car?
Yeah,
Or-
yes, the trim pieces, and that's always what adds to
It's
the
the
bill.
pretties, eh?
Yeah,
All the bling.
They always add to the bid. Yeah, like the interior mirror, the wing mirrors, steering wheel, steering column, tail lights. You know, all of those little things. Window rubbers. You know, decent weather strips.
But I always see, that's the stuff the guys don't budget for. I mean, they get the car and they're thinking motor, front suspension, rear, and all the big stuff.
Yeah.
And, oh, we're good, and then it's the paint, and then you sit and then it comes to the trim and they actually forget how fast
And
it can add up.
And yeah, it does add up, eh? And not having the right stuff, not having good looking stuff
Yeah.
is a bit of a fail.
It does. It just
Sadly,
throws the car off a
you know.
little bit, you know? But I mean, you
If
guys...
it's a work in progress, I think it's okay. But if that's your finished product,
That's true. Here we go.